The most important thing you can do today and in the next 12 months is getting Google reviews. When we are optimizing our Google business profile, that is one of the quickest and best ways we can start to see some positive momentum in your online presence. It doesn't take much to start today. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast, man. I'm super, super excited to be here. And got to ask first, how's the day going? How do you think the Niners season is going to go? I know we were touching on it a little bit before, but how have you been, man?
I've been great. It's actually warm in Washington it's been about 6 months. It's like
Yeah.
70 out, which is beautiful. I think the Niners will do well. We've addressed some of the issues. The biggest thing is if we can keep the injuries down,
Yeah.
because that was brutal. The fact we made it as far as we did is almost a miracle.
Yeah, I feel like you guys and the Lions too are so injury prone, but it's always the Niners. They're limping into the playoffs, just barely
Always.
making it. And by the time you get to your sudden death game, it's like you've got your deep, deep, deep into the roster. So, yeah, man, it'll be exciting. I know Vikings are heading to San Francisco this year, so it'll be exciting to go check out San Francisco, go check out that game. But and you mentioned the heat too. Like my wife and I live in Arizona here, and so we're getting into our summertime of 100
Oh,
115 degrees.
yeah, I don't know how you guys do that. It's during the winter, I love Arizona. During the summer, I'll stay up here.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. But yeah, and thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, I guess a little bit about me is like I mentioned, my wife and I, Olivia, we live in Arizona, but we're originally from Minnesota, and so grew up in a small town called Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, and came down here about 5 years ago. Currently, the owner of a marketing agency called Phaser Marketing, and Jesse, that's how you and I know each other. We're both in the same coaching group called Seven Figure Agency. Been an absolute blast. And really, the unique thing about our agency and yours is that we're so niched into a specific industry. And so, what we do and who we serve as Phaser Marketing, we do digital marketing for excavation and septic companies. And for a lot of people listening, it's like, how many excavation companies are there? But if you think of it, like every town and every city and every area in the country has a company that when a water line underground breaks, they have to go fix it. If a new septic system needs to be put in at a residential home, somebody needs to dig that out, drop that in, and assemble everything. So those are our clients that we serve. We currently work with about 119 excavation companies around the country full time, and really, it's just very simple. We are their digital marketing team. We do uh, basically their. We'll get into this a little bit more, but on the basic level, website SEO, paid ads, and graphic design for the industry. So they work with us long term. They pay us monthly, and we just become their integrated digital marketing team.
Yeah, and one thing that you do that I absolutely love because I haven't seen many marketing agencies do it is the graphic designer because that
Mhm.
is, I mean, that is your image. That is what people see of you. And a lot of times it's either the owner or maybe somebody right out of high school making any kind of graphics for a company. So
Mhm.
having a professional designer that can make not just like posts and stuff, but brochures, things that
Mhm.
people will hold in your hand when they're deciding what company to use is huge.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised, Jesse, that more agencies don't do that because so here's kind of what we do is let's say you own a septic company and you do $2 million in revenue and you're the owner trying to do everything right and you need help. And so you'd come to a team like ours and you'd pay us monthly, but we have the roadmap and we have the full team. And so we already know exactly what to do on the website side of things, Google side of things, the paid ads. But the nice thing is too, with this graphic design that we offer, it's like you now have access to our full graphic design department. And what I love is that it's unlimited designs and we never charge you more. And so what that does is it encourages you instead of thinking of like how much is this going to cost or can we look at a pamphlet or a trifold, but can you send me a proof of how much it's going to cost? Just always worrying about that. You're now able to just be free and just say, what can we create? And what we've done is we've created a lookbook of, call it 70 different projects we've done for other excavation companies, from business cards to trifolds to review cards, all these different things. So that even makes our process even faster and quicker and easier, because they can just point and say, hey Josie, could we get some new business cards? I really like B42, this style that you did for Great Divide Earthworks. Could we get something along those lines? And we're like, yep, no problem. We send over a couple mock-ups, and then we use a tool called Markup so they can make any edits in there. But it really just takes that stress off of their shoulders, and also saves them a bit of money too, because they don't have to pay other graphic designers. So really creates a little bit more of an all-in-one digital marketing team for them, to where they're just paying one team, everything's included in their monthly, and then we just get back to work. Like, we stop worrying about the money, we get back to work, and that's really what we love to do.
And that's huge, because a lot of window companies that I have talked to, they have a company that does this, a company that does that. And there's like
Mhm.
five different companies doing their marketing. One's doing Meta, one's doing Google, one's doing SEO, one's doing graphic design. And by the time you add it all up, it's a lot more than you would typically pay an all-in-one agency. Plus the fact that there's no communication between those companies to kind of mesh everything together. So you're putting out a single message. Instead, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up a great point, because when you're working with like a window replacement company, and you want to have your hands in the strategy, right? So, but if you're only doing the paid ads and you're not doing the SEO, or you're not doing the website, it's like, well, how can you influence the other, right? And
Mhm.
so you bring up a great point of just being a growth partner for the industry. Like, you are here to help them and serve them, but also the simplicity. Like, they are just working with one person or one team to cover all these bases. And that's actually part of how our agency started 6 years ago. Is I had this idea where, there's all these things you and I are talking about, of Google Business Profile and reviews and website and SEO and paid ads and email marketing. You can go on and on. And I just pictured them as like ping pong balls up in this funnel, right? Of a
Mhm.
business owner trying to corral all of them. Like, I know I need to do them, but I don't know how to do them all. And what you do and what I do as an agency is we simplify those and put them into different phases. And that's really where our business name came from, is we keep it simple. So we take the ping pong balls that need to go into phase one to set your foundation, and then phase two to grow your brand, and phase three, dominate your market. So what that does is it just simplifies everything, because as a business owner, you see that growth, or you see that path, and you're like, yeah, makes total sense. But when you look above it and you see all the disorganization of everything, all the shiny objects, all the new AI tools, all the things, it's like you need that filter, which that filter is your agency, and that is my agency. And that's what we do, and that's what we're very good at, is just making sure we protect our clients and we protect the industry. And in addition to that, we move the industry forward properly. And so that's where you do that for window replacement companies, and we do that for the excavation world. And when you have that focus, you can really cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time.
And that's a good point, is when everyone's on the same page, moving forward as one, it just makes it so much faster versus
Yeah.
everybody again doing their own thing. What are some of the biggest things that you see the most momentum out of when you
Mhm.
are working with one of your clients?
Yeah, great question. I'll break this down in a couple ways, maybe. So, for one, to start, it's a combination of a little bit of everything. But to encourage anyone listening, there's a couple very simple, very easy needle movers, I guess we could say. And even to whether you have an agency or you don't have an agency, you can tackle some of these things. So, Jesse, I know I was telling you right before the episode, I love to talk about things business owners can do for free,
Mhm.
like during the weekend, and just things that aren't as complicated as they may seem. So what I like to do is I like to say we do the digital marketing basics very, very well for a very specific industry. So here's what we've seen that have worked, and this should be applied really to any business, but specifically service-based businesses like window replacement, septic, excavation, and so forth. So a couple easy ones is, for one, the number one is your Google business profile. So a couple things here. What I like to do is if somebody first things first, you want to make sure your Google business profile is verified. So to do that, you'll just find the email where it'd be connected to. You make sure you sign into that email on Google, and then you type in your business name. So for me, it would be Phaser Marketing LLC. And if you can't find it, type in your town and your state. So Phaser Marketing LLC, Gilbert, Arizona. Type that into the search bar, and then what will happen is that it'll say, you'll see where it says your business on Google or something along those lines, and you'll see where you can edit some of the settings on your Google business profile. So number one, make sure your business profile is verified. For anyone listening, we've all been through the suspended or the disabled Google business profiles. It is a pain in the butt. We don't have a magic trick for that either. There's ways you can get it re-verified, but it's definitely difficult. But what you'll notice is I believe there's about 8 to 10 boxes on there, and it'll say like edit profile, update questions, add update, add photos, Google review link, things like that. And the best way I can recommend it, and the nice part is this is always changing, so the method doesn't change, but the boxes may change. So what I like to tell people is when we are optimizing our Google business profile, that is one of the quickest and best ways we can start to see some positive momentum in your online presence. So if you're listening right now and you're doing this at home and you found the spot where it says, your business on Google and you see the boxes, now what we want to do is we just want to click into each box and do the best we can to fill everything out to the best of our knowledge as best as we can for our business. The reason this is good, Google loves when people use their products, right? When you use Google's products, they essentially will reward you. So as you're going through these boxes, you are using their features that they have provided for you. And you are already in the top 10% of businesses around you. So that's exceptional. You'll see some buttons like add services or add products. This is where you're going to add in your different products that you have and add in descriptions. This is where you're going to add in your different services, add in the descriptions there. And this is very important. It's almost, think of it like when you have a really good website and there's a service page on, let's say, residential window replacement, and there's a full service page on your website dedicated to that. This is like a mini version of that in your Google business profile. So you want to fill out that information in there as best as possible. If you need help writing that content, I definitely recommend, utilizing AI and just like get a start, because if you're like me and you're listening, you can probably you probably have some expertise in what you do, but it's hard to build out that full paragraph. So what I'd recommend is even use ChatGPT or Claude and say, hey, I'm writing a service page on my Google business profile for residential window replacement. Can you help me get started with 1 or 2 paragraphs? Then from there, put your human touch to it, edit it out, change up some words, make it sound like yourself. But really what Google is looking for is this educational content. So as you start to go through those, you'll get to the photos section. You'll want to add relevant photos of your business. I highly recommend photos with faces in them, photos of your team, photos of your office if you have one, your trucks, your logos, all of that. And just clean that up, delete any duplicates. And then as you continue to go, I won't spend too much more time on this, but there's a couple sections you should look at. So the question and answer section, treat this like an FAQ section on your website. And what I mean by that is when you click that button, that is a section for other people to ask questions to your business, and then you'd provide an answer. What a lot of people don't know is that you can just put your questions in there that are frequently asked, and then you can answer them yourselves. So quick example, what I would do is I would say, well, people always ask me how much does a new set of windows cost? So I would write that question in there. How much does XYZ window replacement cost? and then I would answer that same question to the best of my knowledge. And so what Google does is it reads that, and anytime somebody has that question, it can actually pull that answer from your Google Business Profile and send it to that searcher. And that's how they would, that's how your Google Business Profile would pop up. So keep going through those, and then you'll see too, like your hours of operation, make sure those are updated and so forth. So that's a quick, just something you can do for free to audit your own Google Business Profile. It's easy, it's free. But then, Jesse, got to park on this for a second. But the most important thing you can do today and in the next 12 months is getting Google reviews. There's ways you can do it. There's ways you can automate it. Yes. Um, at the end of the day, you need to get in the habit of asking every single time. Anytime somebody has a positive experience with you, anytime somebody can attest to your character as a business owner, as a business, anytime you guys leave a good, positive situation, you always have to be asking for that Google review. You can get the exact link on that section that I'm talking about. And then that way, Jesse, you're a customer of mine, and you say, Luke, thank you. Your team was respectful and awesome. The windows look great. I appreciate it. And I'd say, thank you, Jesse. That actually means so much. Would you mind saying that in a Google review? Then we could feature that on our site of your experience. You'd respond and say, yeah, I'd love to. And what I do is I send you that exact Google review link so that when you click on it, it goes right to our profile. It gives you the star rating, and then you write that exact answer in. And what I encourage people to do is make sure they submit it before you leave, right? And if
Mhm.
you're cleaning up some tools and you're cleaning up some things, and hey, I'll send this to you right now. I'm going to clean up and get the truck ready. And then that way they can finish it before you leave. And then once you start to get in a consistent habit of that, that is a fact that that will increase your searches, that will increase your phone calls, that will increase your website visits. And that is one of the best things you can do to start building your online presence.
Yeah, that's huge. And I really love the start it when you're wrapping up your tools. Like give
Yep.
them that time. Because if you just do it on the way out, most of them aren't going to do it. If you're actually there, for some reason, homeowners tend to do it a lot more often. Um, over 30% of clicks go into the Google Map 3 pack when
Mhm.
people are organically looking. And obviously, they're going to find the one with the most and the best reviews. So that's 30% of traffic organically that if you are the best ranking on your Google My Business, which a lot of window companies and construction companies don't tend to prioritize that. So it's fairly easy to get up there in the rankings.
Yep.
Um, One other good thing I've heard that works really well is incentivizing your crew to get
Mhm.
those reviews. Give them a $20 gift certificate or whatever anytime they collect one, because then they're actually going to put priority on it. Because a lot of times they're like, oh, I forgot to do it or something like that. But if there's some kind of incentive, and I guarantee you it is worth it in the long run, incentivizing your crews to actually get those reviews.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of our clients, they'll do $50 bills cash and they'll pin it on the bulletin board. And like anytime they get a review, and as a business owner listening, it might seem like a lot of money just for a review, but it's like you're building equity into a company, right? And this is like positive equity. This is SEO juice. This is future deals and future calls and future applicants to your company. And when you think of it that way, you're like, these are priceless. And
Mhm.
when you give a little bit more of that juice to your team too, they're going to be seeking those positive engagements, right? And that's also what you want. So, and I small tip that I just recently heard too is that the owner said if the Google review mentions your name, you get an extra whatever $20 or something. So then it's like gives them more incentive to like, hey, do you mind name dropping me in this review? That'd be super helpful. It can also be a good way to track it as well of just making sure that they're doing it, but rewarding them as well. I love what you brought up there, Jesse, of $20 gift card or $50 bill or whatever that is. And it creates kind of a friendly competition too. But what we want to create as well is like longevity. This isn't just a 3 month sprint. This is the new normal. This is how we do things. This is how we leave the job site. This is in our SOP every single time, our standard operating procedure. We ask for the review. if it was a positive experience. If it was a negative experience, we ask for feedback. Don't necessarily
Mhm.
send them the Google review link. We say, how could we improve? And you maybe have a feedback form. That's a small little tweak there as well of just like, obviously we don't want the 1-star reviews or 2-star reviews posted on Google, but we still want to hear how we can improve in a negative experience.
100%. On the Google My Business thing, real quick, because I know you can post to it like you can post to Facebook or
Yep.
Instagram. And Google, like you mentioned, does like to see that you're using your tools, that you're active on it. What do you think about like, should people be posting to their Google My Business?
1000%. And I'm so glad you brought this up. So don't panic if you don't post on it and you haven't found the time. There's a couple different ways to do it here. So number one, we'll start with this. I call it the big four. So if you're posting on social media, which we should, we're not always selling, right? We're trying to show people our company, we're showing people our culture, we're highlighting team members, we're celebrating milestones, like all these kind of things. And we're also showing our services, we're showing happy customers. And so everyone knows that we should be posting as a business on, let's say, Facebook. And what I always say is there's 4 social media platforms, the big four, that if you're going to post anyway, you should just cross post that same post
Mhm.
onto these 4 platforms because they all hit different demographics, different personalities, different types of people you want to know about your business. So those 4 would be, setting up and posting on your Facebook business profile. So that's kind of an easy one. Typically, that would be your community that would see it, your aunts, uncles, friends, locals, chamber of commerce, that kind of vibe there. Customers, of course, residential customers. So you always want to be posting on Facebook. And then since you're posting on there, might as well put that same exact picture and the same caption on your Instagram business page. This has been amazing for other business owners and other contractors. So this is a great opportunity to start building your network and to start building relationships. So what we've seen in the excavation and septic space, you'd think none of them are on Instagram, right? It's the exact opposite. There's this dirt world cult on Instagram, but what it is everyone's helping each other with certain issues. So let's say we have a backed up septic and somebody puts on their story, "Hey guys, has anyone run into this? What do you got for solutions?" They have this network of contractors on Instagram that will help them through their messages. So as you're building your Facebook post, that also goes on your Instagram business post. The third one, probably my most favorite, your LinkedIn company page, the
Mhm.
most underutilized by far. Everyone on LinkedIn is a consumer and almost nobody is a producer. And so when you think of noise and you think of the fog and you try and split through and you want people to see your posts, post on LinkedIn because most people don't. And it's the most beneficial platform because on that platform, you will have decision makers, GCs, project managers, you will have high end customers. You will also have, don't forget this, future employees, future team members, future leaders to come work at your company. Because if you're listening to this podcast, you probably want to grow. As you grow, you probably need team members, and you can't be working with C players and D players. If you're on LinkedIn and that's where you spend some of your time, like you're probably at least a B player and trending upwards to be an A player. So posting that same post on your LinkedIn company page. Then number 4, Jesse, you mentioned it perfectly, your Google business profile. Most people don't know that it has its own social media feature to it, and it's free. It's the add updates box, as we were just talking about earlier. So you click that. There's a spot for pictures, there's a spot for a caption, and then I think there's a spot for like a link. My recommendation, don't overthink this stuff, guys. It is same post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google business profile. That's what I would recommend. If you're listening, you want to get scrappy, you want to do it yourself. There are softwares out there that'll post on all 4 for you and do it automatically. I don't have any backed research on this, but it seems like whenever I schedule them out, the posts don't do as well. So
Mm.
I've been doing this for 6 years and I just do it myself natively on every platform. totally up to you guys listening at whatever you want to do. But I don't know. I think they like shadow ban it or something.
It
But
wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
yeah, for real, dude. But I will say this. So that's kind of the one way to do it, right? And then Jesse, you and I both know that it's very common for marketing agencies to factor this into their SEO program where like, hey, we will post 4 times a month on your Google business profile. And that is usually revolving around your top 4 or 5 keywords. And you write a post about that. So if you work with an agency, I would ask them about that and if they're doing that, if they could do that, because that's kind of an easy way too to get that repeatable content out there. If they don't do it, you could always do it yourself. And then last thing I'll say about that is it never hurts to, let's say your agency is doing it and they're doing it 4 times a month and you're posting on Facebook on a Tuesday, I would still add that post to your Google business profile. Just kind of weave in more content because if the content is decent, it's going to do well. And we mentioned the audience on Facebook, we mentioned the audience on Instagram, the audience on LinkedIn. Who is the audience in the Google business profile? The catch here is it's not somebody just reading all your posts like a normal social media. It is the search engine picking up on keywords and picking up on your business and your brand and your customers so that when somebody in the future searches for a window replacement company or a question about the cost of that or a question about how that works, you've already built up this positive equity with Google. And this is just one of those signals that Google looks at as a trust signal. So just from doing the big four there, we've hit 4 different demographics and they're all important to your business, especially as we look at it long term. Probably not going to see anything in the first 6 months, but as you continue to build that up, it can be priceless.
And I think a lot of people make the mistake of, hey, I didn't see something giant in the first month, so I'm done doing it. It doesn't work. This is, like you said, this takes a little while, but the juice is worth the squeeze 100%. Um, Again, just getting your Google My Business in that top three, it's not hard if you're consistent because most window companies are not.
Yep.
And again, like I said, 30%, a little over 30% of the clicks from homeowners looking for a window replacement company go there. Like that's huge. That's
Yeah.
absolutely huge.
One other thing that if somebody's listening, they're thinking about social media, they want to get into it, but they're like, I just don't even know where to start. I'm maybe more old school or I don't do this. I mentioned it earlier. Don't overthink it because the content that will do better for you is the stuff you already know. And so, what I like to say is just nerd out about what you know. And so, what that looks like, let's take one of our septic companies as an example, Anderson Septic. What he does so well is he just takes his phone and he just describes the situation he's seeing, right? Because he knows that like the back of his hand. He doesn't have a social media strategy in the back of his head. He's like, no, there is a septic system that is backed up right now. Here's what I'm seeing. I'm going to dig this up and we're going to see what's going on. And then he's talking about, the inlet and the outlet and what's clogged and what needs to happen, maybe what's cracked, what's busted up. But what that is doing is so many things. For one, he's educating not only his audience, he's educating his future customers. He's being transparent because not every day is sunshine and roses. And it's like, what problems are we solving? But then social media is meant to be social, and people forget that. We try and manicure this perfect post, we try and design this perfect graphic, and it's like that really isn't what social media is. And so the algorithm will reward you for being more social. And so when you're nerding out about what you know, whether it's window replacement, whether it's business, whether it's septic, but you do it in a way that's engaging where you're answering questions, you're asking questions, you're showcasing what you know, that content will do so well for you. And it's way easier for you because you already know it. You already know the answers. And so I would just recommend to anyone listening that don't overthink it and nerd out about what you like and what you know. And trust me, people may not be interested. You may think that. Um, but then you'll be so surprised that like 8 months, 12 months later, you're like, oh, yeah, you're the window guy. Or yeah, you're the septic guy.
Mhm.
And you really start to educate not only your future clients and the people that are interested, but you start educating the public. And that can be very important.
Yeah, one thing we've noticed is videos that are literally just somebody grabbing their phone and talking, and it's real and it's raw, outperform ones with a professional camera that are scripted, that are edited. Like, you would think it'd be the exact opposite, but
Yeah.
it's not. People want to see raw, people want to see real. They don't want to see this perfect situation that's been scripted and edited and stuff like that.
Yeah, dude, you couldn't be more spot on. And how great is that? Like us
Yeah,
small guys get to win from that. And it's all of this stuff that we just talked about completely free. Completely free. We all have a phone that has a camera for the most part. And
hopefully.
yeah, hopefully. And all these social media accounts are free. And like that's why I like to give this advice because there's levels to it, right? And so if you're not doing this first level and you're on a budget and you're, let's say 400K in revenue and you're trying to build it up, you don't have to go hire a big fancy agency or go spend a bunch of money. It's like do this stuff for free. But then if you're doing 2 million or you're doing 3 million and you've been doing it yourself, but you want to take it to the next level and you want to delegate this off of your plate, because as we know as business owners, there's so much on your plate, there's so many hats you wear, then you can hire that out and you can delegate that out to make sure that that box is checked. That box is checked. We're going to delegate and elevate. So Jesse, like an agency like yours, you know the industry. You have clients in the industry. You know what to look for more than I do as a business owner. And so, what I'm doing here is I'm paying you as a team member, but I don't have I don't have payroll taxes on you. I don't have um, benefits. I don't have like this insurance. You're just an extension of my team, but I get that at a great value because you're an agency and you know the industry and you can help me level up and you can help me delegate and elevate that off my plate.
And that's one of the things I think that doesn't get thought of enough when people are thinking about hiring marketing agencies. Like, if you hired somebody in-house to do everything we do and you put all that payroll together, it would be 20 times what you're going to pay an agency easily.
Dude, it's funny you bring that up because yeah, you could put math to it, right? And you look at graphic design, SEO, website build, web developer, web designer, um, account strategist or client success manager. Like you put all those things together and you put a salary, let's say 40 or 50K a year, which is low. And then you're like, okay, yeah, we don't have a $500,000 a year budget for a marketing department. We do 2 million in revenue. But then you look at an agency and the structure is typically like 2K to 3K a month, maybe 3,500 somewhere in there. And you're like, that's like less than one person I could hire. So that's why I'm such a big fan of the agency model. And also too, as you grow and scale, let's say you're at 5 million in revenue, typically you already have a great office manager or a marketing specialist, but they work with your agency. And so they are the liaison and the point of contact. So if you're the owner listening, that is a great thing to keep in mind is that you always want to have a good right hand, a good point of contact to work with your marketing agency because you, as the owner, your decisions, we want you to be putting out house fires, not trash can fires. And so if you're listening and you're an owner, we want to continue to elevate you to make these ownership decisions. And a lot of times, as you continue to grow and scale, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, you want to make sure you have a good point of contact that is the liaison to your marketing agency. And so that way you can continue to build that. And then as you get to 10 million, you may look at options of bringing some more pieces in house, maybe paying your agency more for more specific services, but that is kind of that next level as well. And I'd kind of break it up like that because we have clients that do over 10 million, but they still just need the foundational support of a department. And dollar for dollar, it makes way more sense to have it with an agency.
Yeah, one of the things we've noticed in the like $1 to $3 million in revenue range is typically the biggest bottleneck is the owner.
Oh,
Because they're still kind of in that mindset of we're growing. I used to do everything I still can, and it ends up slowing down the company. There's a couple of great books, Who Not How, How to Buy Back
yes.
Your Time, that I think any business owner, when they're getting ready to hire or want to grow, like should read those books because it really dives into like if you're running a $3 million company, you shouldn't be spending the time to do your own taxes, to do your own marketing. You could literally be doing higher leverage activities to make more money
Yeah.
versus, taking the time to do that. Every hour has a monetary value, every hour that you're
Mhm.
working. If your profit is making you $150 an hour, should you be doing a $25 an hour task? And the answer
Yeah.
is no, every single time.
Yeah. And I love that we're bringing up book recommendations because I got one for you guys
Yes,
listening.
please.
And you mentioned some amazing ones there. One of my favorite books that really helps kickstart you thinking about business is The E-Myth Revisited by Michael E. Gerber. It's one of just the foundational business books of building systems and hiring people to run the systems. And it's just so good. It talks about, technicians, managers, and entrepreneurs and how you need all three. But you also have to figure out, who you are and what you're currently at and what you're doing. So, one other one too. This is kind of a fun one. I just had this author on our podcast, the Dirtbags podcast, but his name is Sean Van Dyke, and he wrote the book. So let me back up one step, Jesse. So there's a book out there called Profit First, and it's written by Mike McAllowicz, and it's just a very simple financial system. Highly, highly recommend it. But Jesse, for your audience, they're contractors, right? Same with my audience. And so what Sean Van Dyke did is he took the Profit First system that Mike wrote for all businesses, and then he was able to write the book Profit First for Contractors. So he
Mm.
did it on the Profit First method and used, like, under Mike's leadership, of course, and license, like, used that, but has a specific, like, polarized lens of, like, yes, it's profit first, but now it's profit first for contractors because there are a little bit of differences, right, between a bakery and a window replacement company or a septic company. So, highly recommend that book. You can find it on Amazon, Profit First for Contractors by Sean Van Dyke. And then I also did an episode with him. So if you guys want to listen to it, I think it's episode 121 on the Dirtbags podcast. It kind of goes well with the book, but that is a great one to read the book, follow along with the podcast, and then implement it into really any service based company, but specifically for contractors.
That's awesome. I didn't know they made one for contractors because I read
Yeah,
Profit First, and that's a great book.
dude, I didn't know either until it was probably 2 years ago, and we implemented Profit First. Absolutely love it, big fan. And then it's just a little different for contractors, right? And it's, marketing agency, it's pretty easy to implement the system. But then when I found out there was one specifically for contractors, and then I learned that there are other ones as well. There's like Profit First for lawyers and Profit First for, I forget all the other ones, but it's like a series. And I'm like, man, how cool, because now it's like we're taking a system that works, but going the extra mile to go more specific into addressing maybe certain situations that are more difficult in this company and addressing them through that same system.
I love it, man. And we'll post that as well because I think, if it's anything like Profit First,
Yeah.
but just tailored to contractors, probably everybody should read that.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And I mean,
Yeah.
I read the book too and burned through it. And I was like, man, with that foundation of already knowing the first Profit First book and then reading this, like, you just understand also your customers more of the certain cash flow issues they go through and how it is different than a marketing agency. And so it was just fantastic. It was fun to have him on the show. And then, yeah, also just provide that free resource to anyone who wants to listen and to implement that system.
Love it, man. But Luke, I've had you for almost an hour. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we take off?
Man, I appreciate it a ton, Jesse. It's been a blast. And I just say, like, anyone listening, if you have any questions or want to reach out to me specifically, like, I love talking business. I love talking about anything that can help other businesses or even help my business. But please feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on any social media platform, either Luke Eggebraaten, or our agency is Phaser Marketing, or our podcast is the Dirtbags Podcast. So any of those, you should be able to find us on social media. And then, yeah, man, just super excited to be here. And then I guess the last thing maybe I'd leave your audience with is just don't overthink it, but start today. and start with the basics. Start simple because so often we want to do this big extravagant marketing overhaul sometime, and then we put it off, we put it off, we put it off, and people are going to blow by you. Businesses are going to blow by you, and it doesn't take much to start today. And I hope that in the few things we talked about, the few strategies, you can see how simple it really is. And just put a little character into it, put a little personality into it, build your brand that way. You'll be so much better off than overthinking and delaying and waiting. And so if you're listening to this on a Friday night, start tonight, build those profiles, start posting, and then keep it consistent. Work on that delayed gratification. Let's do this for 2 years, and then we can reassess how did it go.
Yeah, I think those are two of the strongest points that you can have is, I mean, we all have a friend or know somebody who's had a business idea for 4 years and they're like, well, I'm just super busy right now. I'm going to do it though. And like, I know somebody that's been doing that for 8 years. It's like, man, imagine if you would have started 8 years ago where you'd be at right now. That'd be wild. Um, yeah. So Luke, really quick. If anyone's looking for you, how do you spell your last name on Instagram so they can find you?
Yes, I should have said that should be built in a default. Yeah, so my name's Luke Eggebraaten. It's spelled Eggbraten. So if you just look up at Luke Eggebraaten, you should be able to find me there. And then Phaser Marketing, Phaser Marketing. And then I think on Instagram for the Dirtbags, it's at Official Dirtbags Podcast. But also you can find the actual show on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so forth. But yeah, Jesse, I appreciate it a ton, man. Excited to see you again soon and continue where we left off.
Perfect. I appreciate you, Luke. Thank you so much, man.
You're the man. Thank you.